Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, where on this World Building Wednesday, we continue our conversations about paranoia, corruption, overreaction, and the whole thing. Of course, you guys know who are veterans of this show that even the slightest thing, will fuel the creative spark. And this is the show where we come together and just kind of hang out like it's like before or after a game, and we get to let loose with our creativity. And you guys are part and parcel of that. Now, um, today on World Building Wednesday, usually we start out with some kind of premise, and we literally, like in the tabletop RPG community, we build ourselves a little world around it. And part of the impetus of this is that in my personal opinion and observations, in light of a number of real life instances happening in and around us, I happen to live in Central Ohio, and we've had yet another police shooting, and we've had verdicts read, and we have societal changes happening. But a dangerous trend I see happening, and I hate to make light of people's personal tragedies to fuel our tabletop role playing experiences, but we all know that in many ways, more often than not, that even tabletop role playing games are a great method to exercise our inner conflicts, to place ourselves in the position of other people. And so I have no intention of making light of that, despite the fact that maybe there might be some of you who might find my creative impulses drawing upon other people's despair. So I apologize for that, but I have to be honest. So part of the impetus of titling this week like Paranoia and Overreaction is that on one hand, what's the saying? It's uh, if they're really out to get you, it's not really paranoia. It's like, it's the really, there is a danger out there, and there are really things out there. Uh, Maybe I'm not paranoid. Maybe there really is a danger, and my actions or reactions to the dangers that exist out there in the open might not be so bizarre, even though, much like what was the television show here that aired in the States, Preppers, or where people are preparing for the end of the world, but at the same time, in many ways, you can kind of look at those individuals and go, well, you might be taking it too far, but maybe you're right, you know. But there's the other dangerous thing I see happening today, which is overreaction. This seemingly inability act to react to things happening, um, with such emotional verve that people are just going from 0 to 60 on things today. Whether it's becoming destructive or violent, or the word said, getting on social media and like having flame wars and the whole 9 yards. It's like, it's so difficult for people to just sit back and try to observe first and then react second. Most people seem to be reacting first, and sometimes reacting in many ways that are counterproductive to their own livelihood. And I'm just shaking my head like, really, really. But what about a world? What about a game world in our tabletop RPG experience where this kind of behavior is not only seen and part of the world, but in many ways, how do I say, is not just explainable, but might even be necessary for survival, yet at the same time can work against the individuals in that world for a reasonable, uh, stable society. So the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is corruption. And in many ways, like anything like a disease or a parasite, brought up invasion of the body snatchers, something moving around throughout the society that the residents of that society, and of course our protagonists in that society, are the main lawgivers, the main ones who have to defeat whatever it is that's going around. But it also, the opposite hand of corruption is purity, and we've seen plenty of times in our in with our creative influences that the righteous, the just, the lawgivers, the enforcers can take things a bit too far. It's the we're doing this for your own good, taken to its extreme. And far too often we see this happening where the good guys are, what is the term? It was, and I'm going to take this from, I believe, Star Wars. I'm going to butcher the butcher the quote, but it's like, yeah, with an applause, our dictators, our downfall is brought about with cheers and applause when someone steps forward and is like, oh, I, I don't want to be the person who takes command, but thank you so much for choosing me. And by my first act, I'm going to instill, military order and, and everything. And everyone's like, yeah. And of course, Padme's like, oh no, here we go. Here's the downfall of our society. And I think a combination of those two things happening, whether it is living in the aftermath of a world in which uh, a Lovecraftian invasion has already happened, and Cthulhu is literally walking upon the world, by your very view of Cthulhu in the distance drives you insane, and people have to live in this world, or it's a literal fiends and celestials have descended upon the earthly plane and do battle in the skies, and the innocent people below both are fearful of the things that exist in their world. Yet there it is, Tesla. Thank you so much. Who says, so, quote, so this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. And I'm thinking of a world where that may be the case, where on one hand, the safest places in the world, maybe maybe the outer world is like DC world's apocalypse of where there's nothing but giant flaming pits and parademons and fiends pouring through portals that are, I don't know, just for the fun of it, pinning human beings on iron spikes, along miles and miles of road, just because to send a message. Where there may be other places that are protected, these like protectorates of celestial power, but they, even in those protected enclaves, um, they draw a terrible cost from society. Maybe families have to give over their children at extremely young ages to turn them into these holy warriors, or maybe the cost of service is one in which you lose your, not just your humanity, but your individuality, or your service to the cause may just be your, not your soul, but your humanity, much in terms of a real word version of PTSD. That literally going to war means that you're going to see things and do things that you're not going to, you wish you never had to see. Whether it's fighting fiends that happen to look like children or your loved one, and you've got to hack them down, knowing that every time you swing your sword, though, you know, part of you is like, yeah, they're evil, but the other part of you is like, I have to bring myself to kill something that looks exactly like my loved ones because they pull that from the deepest parts of my brain, and now I've got to go after them. So when I come home, I literally have the blood of the people that I love on my hands, but they don't know that, and that may be the cost. And I can see the protagonists in this in this setting are might be equal parts, of the holiness and the purity and the obnoxious righteousness on one hand, and then such evil and decadence and chaos on the other end, and evil, and like kind of being a combination of both of those, and riding in the middle and just wishing. Ooh, uh-oh. I think I hope I'm still broadcasting. I'm still broadcasting. It looks like we're having a little bit of a brownout. Um, hmm. All right. Oh, okay. I'm going to keep on going, hoping that I'm. Thank you very, very much, Vampanoy. Yeah, if 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 you visually watching me, you can see the lights kind of dim and flicker behind me. So I'm hoping that's only a slight uh, power surge or brownout or something like that. So, but anyway, all right. So um, the the paranoia part of this, I can see where there are intense like shapeshifters or illusions, or much like the classic, zombie apocalypse. Someone gets bit, doesn't reveal it to anyone. Thank you very much there, Mofa, because I see a Twitch and YouTube. I'm still broadcasting, and I'm still broadcasting on. I'm still linked into the Discord. So okay, good. Okay, sorry. It just. I was just like, shit. Here we go again. All right, but maybe someone's overhearing what I'm talking about, and it's insidious. All right, so we have our classic shapeshifters. We have our classic invasion of the body snatchers or something, and it might be interesting th- to go down the path where maybe the fiendish influences in our world today, despite their their decadence, maybe they have a reason why it is that they are doing the things that they're doing. Like, for example, maybe this invasion of the body snatchers type of creatures or monsters or invaders or something that are capturing people off the streets or infecting people or whatever the case may be. Maybe they do have an agenda of some sort, whether it is removing people from power. Time travel stories are very much like this, where it, some element in the future knows that if we remove or put certain people into positions of power, or remove people out of positions of power, that a new dawn will happen at some point in the future. But of course, the present day individuals don't know what's going on. They don't know anything about that. Yeah. Like Rickard said, you talked about paranoia yet? We're going into it now. So that paranoia uh, may come from whether it is something that the our protagonists see but no one else sees, whether it is an infection or a corruption, or some kind of way to see someone's aura, or a maybe there's some kind of physical manifestation from individuals, whether they are like soldiers in a war, but they are starting to get more and more, much like to defeat evil, you need evil. And as people start changing into classic demons and devils, red skin, horns, tails, wings, dark, glowing eyes, and blackened fangs and fingernails. As they start getting more and more of these traits, on one hand, they become um, the martyrs in a war against the evil out there, but maybe on the other hand, they got to be put down. Oh yeah, the game. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, in the Discord, I even put a link in there. There is a game called Paranoia for those who don't know, it's an old school. It's still around too to this day, and it's a bit ridiculous on purpose. And the game literally is like, yeah, you start out with at least like characters because you're going to need them, because the whole point of the game is to um, there is a paranoia building. There's a card game called Werewolf, or I'm the werewolf, or you're the werewolf, or something. Sorry, I still getting remnants of a allergy or head cold. Still, sorry about that. Yeah, there's a card game where you're playing, and no one knows who the werewolf is, and you're trying to find out, like, you're trying to live long enough to find out who the werewolf is, but before getting killed by the werewolf. But yeah, there may be something to the fact that the players characters may not even know that they themselves are one or more of these interlopers, much like a person with a split personality, where one personality that they are unfamiliar with is committing crimes, but they themselves are trying to hunt down the killer themselves, and then come to find out that they themselves are the criminal that they are hunting down. The game is called Werewolf. Yeah, yeah. Now, how this corruptive power exists in the world, I don't know. But yeah, let's see. Tesla puts in, Werewolf is a social deduction parlor game, usually using cards to assign roles when played in person. That is, while commonly played at conventions, also popular online via play-by-post or voice text-based chat rooms. It is a variant of a 1986 game from the Soviet Union called Mafia. In 97, Andrew Plotkin listed the rules for the game online under the new name Werewolf. Yeah, and of course you don't, it doesn't literally have to be a werewolf. Like the rules, you can just start to change things up. And that may be something in the game world, like, where in this setting, even the player characters themselves, the very power they're using to defeat evil itself might be them spawning the very evil that they are trying to stop. Uh, that's a possibility. I like, kind of like that possibility, because in many ways, in a mechanical sense, maybe the player characters are creating their own adversaries, but also um, there might be how do you say this? Like, everywhere they go, there they are. You know what I mean? In a sense of, like, society might be like, you got to get out of here because you're causing too much harm, and maybe one of you protagonists may be the evil that we're trying to stop, or the player characters, the protagonists, might actually be kind of like magnets, like danger magnets in a way as well, where their simple machinations are the ones that, as they use their power, the Lovecraftian horrors are drawn to them. Um, Tesla Ranger says, compare Among Us, which has the similar premise of identifying and executing undercover killers. Yeah, if we go with the Lovecraftian idea, and like the Lovecraftian monsters that everyone's trying to avoid are actually walking the earth, maybe, just maybe, the the horrors inside of us are becoming manifest, and the more those the people that are traumatized by the horrors that they see, the greater chance that they're going to summon those very horrors in and around them. That might be a pretty good um, like setting element. Much like it's the idea of like hiding in these like hidden enclaves, or like a post-apocalyptic style world, and you poke your head up above the dirt, knowing that the minute you do so, or the minute you utilize the very powers that will also drive you insane, the greater chance you have of drawing those things towards you. So I like that idea. And the overreaction part, like the paranoia of it, might be that any common citizen might become the horror that you fear. Of course, all kinds of moist tentacles reaching out of mouths and chest bursting and stuff like that. You got to have something like that, right? Um, but at the same time as well, that the player characters who might have like very powerful psychic abilities that allow them to survive telekinetically, mental domination, possession, astral projection, uh, heck, kinetic abilities or something like that. The more they do use those abilities, maybe there's a greater chance that they will lose control of themselves, um, or cause others to become infected. Much like, I don't know, using telepathy to mentally speak to someone silently. But the minute you do that, you open up their minds to the horrors that are outside or something. So that might be kind of cool. Um, Going back to the Twitch chat, Vampanoy mentions, a symbiotic creature. Their kind takes over humanoids with the directive to propagate their spread, have a sort of hive mind, like an illithid elder brain, which would be, wouldn't it be strange for like an illithid elder brain to be a protagonist instead of an antagonist in this world? Like like the player characters are, or this may be their, maybe the player characters are like somehow tangentially connected to like a hive mind brain that's growing in, I don't know, some kind of weird caldera or a swamp or something like that. So on one hand, they are utilizing their capabilities to like survive in this world, but at the same time it's like, it's spreading, I need to get my family back. um Yeah, like Rickard says, anyone becoming what you fear, I give you the agents from the Matrix. Ooh, yep. The agents from the Matrix who literally can take over any innocent individual in the world, which in, they don't really harp on the movie Matrix, but part of me is always like, aren't our heroes killing innocent people every time they kill an agent? Yeah, it's, they don't, kind of depressing if you think about it that way, that they're murdering innocent people that are plugged into the matrix who have no agency of their own. Vampanoy continues to say, players eventually discover the elder brain type has deemed humanoids will eventually destroy themselves. Bringing them into their family will end all violence, etc. Very much, the Borg idea. If we're all a hive mind, we'll never be at war. And maybe there's even some kind of placating ability where, despite the despite us being covered with face huggers and tentacled creatures, tentacled creatures like helms wrapped around our heads with insectoid limbs reaching into our eyes and nose and mouth, maybe there's a little bit of a pleasure center attachment to it or something. Um, would be pretty interesting to try for the player characters to extricate their family and friends, to have those family and friends, scream out in deadly horror, like don't get me out of here! Like I was in peace, I was happy. There it is. Tesla puts in the YouTube short film Among Us. I saw that. Yeah, yeah. It's a short paranoia film, uh, Among Us, and they all, of course, wearing the colors, symbolic colors to separate each of them. So, yep, yep. Who's the evil person among us all? Now the overreaction part of this is going to be a little bit of a role playing meta balance trait, because on one hand, and this is weird to say, on one hand we want our players to overreact, we want our players to kind of to have a little bit of murder hoboism, to then become the fuel for our players to have to backtrack on the things that they've done, much like, I don't know, the player characters are besieged by those very same mindless individuals who are mind controlled or corrupted or something. And of course, the PCs open up their can of whoop ass to only to realize that those individuals were all innocent anyway, being mind controlled by maybe a big bad. And then they're like, of course, the community is like, why'd you kill our innocent people? They didn't do anything wrong. And the players, of course, are like, well, they were actually murdering other people. What did you expect us to do? So the idea of overreaction, of the close the city walls and burn everybody, of the dig a mass grave and dump everyone in it, and or heck, even mass suicide clans, or suicide missions, and the the public, like the player characters, might not just be proactive, but they might have to be reactive to communities wanting to do these things, where it's like, yeah, we're going to close the city walls and torch the entire place, and the player character is like, wait, whoa, 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 we actually have an answer. Don't do that. And so there might be this, like, the tension timer might be trying to achieve a goal against time before the proverbial nuke is launched to we've seen this in again with post-apocalyptic uh, vampire slash zombie stories, where they're like, the government's like, oh, we're going to nuke the whole city, and everyone's like, no, wait, we got to get out of here first and save our loved one before you do that. It's the can we unplug our family and friends from the elder brain, extricating the tentacles down everyone's throat and other orifices, and get them to safety before you, I don't know, open up an implosion bomb or something like that to kill everyone. And that might be a little bit of the where you can kind of like fine tune the overreactions to either use that as a method to get your players to act in case they're suffering from analysis paralysis, or understanding that, yes, we may not want our players to become murder hobos, but their introduction to the world, that's how they may start out, and then come to find out that they're by their very nature, they're creating their own problems, and they're like, ooh, maybe we should be a little bit more selective in what we do, let's see. Thomas Anderson. Hey, TA. Paranoia, overreaction, corruption. Wait, when did this become a modern politics show? Yeah, yeah. You're right there with me. So anyway, it says, oh wait, purity. Yeah, okay. That's got nothing to do with modern politics. Well, not from most people's personal perception, right? Everybody, it seems today, is holding a stone, getting ready to toss it because what it's the he or she or they without sin tosses the first stone, and everyone's like, I got a backpack full of rocks, I'm ready to toss them, and I feel like that's kind of a good, wow, it's kind of a great place to start in a setting creation like this, where of course everyone thinks they're correct, right? And yeah, Rickard's like, corruption, heresy. It starts burning all in the name of the god emperor. Yep. Lots of people like take up the idea that we need to burn things to the ground. And what a, like, could you imagine these protected enclaves, where the protected enclaves are the air quote seat of safety, but the players know that while internally everyone's like, yeah, we're here safe, this is a great place to be. Everybody on the outside the walls, they're evil, but we're the good people. But the player characters know, like, no, this is actually just a sealed kettle. This is just a boiling pot till it's going to explode, and we've got to figure out a way to keep these enclaves from boiling over until they turn into like outrage and rioting and wanting to burn everything down. Because without these protected enclaves, everything's going to just get destroyed. Like, maybe the the consummate angel versus demon fight where the demons are like, yeah, all that humanity you're protecting, they're they're just as corrupt as we are, right? Like we're fiends from the nine hells and the abyss and other outer world planes, but they may be thinking like, you think we're bad? Guess who fuels us? All those human beings that die that come to our realm, they give us the great ideas. It's not us corrupting them, it's them giving us the ability to corrupt. And so they might just be biding their time as the goody goodies are thinking, "Oh, I'm above it all." But really, what they're doing is little by little, they're coming up with reasons to hate somebody else within their own enclaves, and it just gets worse and worse. And the player characters are doing the smack face, don't, oh my god, again. And so I like the idea that even the protected enclaves might be in danger of collapsing in upon themselves. And it also might just be a matter of recruitment where various groups are getting recruited by the opposite side and the player characters are kind of in the middle. And so on one hand, a city that opens their doors to people who no longer want to be associated with the fiends is a good thing, but at the same time they're like, oh, they're opening the door to let the fiendish people inside. This isn't going to turn out well. And of course the opposite, where the fiends are like, come to us, people who have lost your faith, come to us because we are the true decadents. Know your place and know you know your soul is it, it, know that your soul is corrupted and embrace that part of yourself. And maybe that's another part of this world where the player characters are like, oh damn it, we've lost another couple thousand. um, Thomas Anderson says, yeah, it says Rick, yeah, right there with you. As long as he shares his hidden spice stash when the family hits, my ships are far and wide and need lots of it. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, Mike Gould says my first Thole campaign was based on the concept that magic and spellcasting was believed to be demonic within their starting region. The tension and drama from that was pure gold. And there, and again, the paranoia is maybe it's true. Like statistically, maybe nothing has changed within the rules of your game. Whatever fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons and so on, and every derivation thereof. But maybe it's also true that demons and hags and fiends and all the monsters out there are also spawned by the very power that the player characters have. So maybe the player characters are the exception to the rule that if you learn magic and spell casting, you will become, I don't know, a Rakshasa or something, or you will become a hag, or you will become what's something else that's out there that's like a siren or a harpy, or be transformed into a minotaur, or a give birth to a, I don't know, a cyclops or something of that nature. So there might be some truth to it. Anyway, TA says a friend had this belief that was from all tech was from hell and was corrupting the world, and the higher the plane of existence, the less corrupted and more magical it was. Hmm. That's, if that ain't a Luddite, I don't a belief system for a Luddite, I don't know what is. Their main example of a piece of hell was stoplights and how they seem to know you are in a hurry and turn red to delay you. They're given a high tech scenario. Who knows? Maybe there might be some weird truism to that. I don't know. Damn red lights. And why are they red anyway? But that, I don't know. The color red is actually a cultural thing that has progressed amongst most human societies. So that's something different. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Um, Rickard says demons fleeing the nine hells because too many humans are sent there, and it got things so bad the demons flee to the material plane for some sane living. That's hilarious. Too many human beings moving in and bumping everybody out the way. And the demons are like, you're supposed to be suffering. And the humans are like, this is kind of nice. let's see, I can make a condo. There's I can build a home right here and get some vacation spot. And Asmodeus or whoever is just like, don't. Oh, that's I like that. You know what? There's some more truth to that, I think, than a little bit, because according to the most general background of the nine hells and the abyss, and the whole alignment, um the alignment, outer world nature of how the souls of humanity from the prime material plane go to the outer worlds. That's actually very true, that fiendish monsters are the embodiment of, you know chaotic evil, lawful evil, neutral evil. Humanity from the prime material plane go to these places because that's their alignment, right? Yeah, it's their realm or world. It's not. It was created by, in many ways, fueled by their actions and what's in their heart. So that would be pretty funny that he gets. It's too many humans. Like, get out of here! I'm in charge. Mm-mm. I'm not stupid. You're stupid. Thomas says the demons opposing humans and fleeing makes me think they are pure in reality, and the reason there is torturing of humans and slaying them is because they fear the humans corrupting and infecting. Ooh, ooh! It's like they're like a military arm trying to stop the flood of the corrupting influence of the humans themselves. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, yeah. Rickard's like, the demon says, "Don't send me back down there. Your people are down there, and they're even more insane than you are. Please have mercy." The gentrification of the nine hells. Oh, Starbucks on every next to every flaming pit. Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. That would be hilarious. I love it. I love this idea. Mike Gould says that finally talking about the getting pure gold from the tension about spellcasting believed to be demonic, says that finally paid off probably 3 campaigns later, where one paladin was finally confronted with the avatar of the god he thought he was worshiping. Quote, where my tenants are you told to? And listing all the sins. Yeah, yeah, we get that in real life, right? You know, people who are so have so twisted their own beliefs that they rationalize the torture and murder of other individuals because, they're evil and my religion is good, so me killing and murdering other people, that's fine. I mean, yeah, sure, my religion's all about peace and love and understanding, but there's always an asterisk. Didn't you read the asterisk in the back of in the appendix of my religious text? It says, as long it's love and affection for my fellow man, except for it's uh, love with a caveat. Always that. Thomas Anderson says everyone in reality is the hero of their story. So all villains seem to think they are the hero. So why would it not be something to use in the case of demons? I absolutely agree with you. And given okay, given enough time and maybe the what we think of the classic idea of like hordes of demons and being monstrous and slobbering and stuff like that. Maybe in this world they've arrived at a prime material plane and they're not anything like that. I don't mean that they don't look demonic, that they don't commit evil acts. What I mean is that they are brilliant and intelligent enough and really social enough to have the conversation in the first place, right? Like maybe these demonic hordes that are out there when human beings get surrounded by them, much like the classic bandit, the only thing I got are bandits on the road. Maybe when the demons or devils or whatever you want to call them uh, Damon's slotty and all the kind of things. Maybe they love to have these conversations. Maybe they are. Maybe they kill you with existential dread about having conversations around a campfire, and they want to have a talk with people. Like, listen, you you need to understand where we come from. Like, we are committing these evil acts to show you how bad you as humanity are. And every time you commit these evil acts, you're fueling us, and we don't like it. You know, like it's almost like Demogorgon is like, yeah, you think I'm bad, but really, there's something growing that's even worse than I am behind me. So use me as an example. You don't want Demogorgon Plus. You don't want to subscribe to Demogorgon Plus, because when the 7 episode show comes out and it's even worse than I am, ugh. Meanwhile, in Infernal Starbucks, I'll take a large caramel macchiato for he who shall not be named, waiting in line. Um, how do you spell he who shall not be named on the side of the cup? I don't know, but a good barista will always, instead of like the little heart shapes poured into the top of the cup, it's like people getting tortured, but they do it with the milk, the creamer and stuff like that. These little images, like, oh, that's really interesting. Is that a little spike with like small children stabbed on the end of it? Wow. Oh, and they're even moving too. That's great. And I'll also take a pastry with that. Oh my god. Uh, mm-mm-mm. Rickard says, think about it. Demons on the prime material plane kills the good people and offers the evil ones eternal life. Where do the good humans go? Where do the evil ones go? It makes sense. Yeah, the evil ones go to the hells. They literally, that's where they come from. I mean, that's where fiends come from. I think it's okay. I know you guys are going to correct me on this. The lawful evil plane, the nine hells, are literally the most evil people given demonic sorry, devilish form, from the lowest, and then moving up the ladder to the highest. And then the abyss is their corruptive emotional status ripped apart and shredded and then rebuilt by a collection of other people's decadence and then put back together again. So I think the lawful evil plane is literally them as a devil, and then the abyss is them as a demon, rebuilt. Anyway, sorry. Um, let's see. Ta says, can't remember the story name, but there was something I read that had a person who killed themselves to go to hell and was saved by their father as a doctor and came back with a demon that was sent back as a torment from the leader of hell, because he did not want to come to earth like many other demons did. Michael says, I remember the movie. A version of that was the Constantine movie, which I personally think the Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves is better than most people give it credit for. But that was a point of it, right? Constantine commits suicide, goes to the because suicide's a sin. He goes to hell and comes back, and so now the demonic powers that are in the world, he's got like a connection with them, and they're always like, can't wait for you to come here. You saw what happened. You're about to join us as well, right? And maybe the heroes, the protagonists in this story, are equal parts celestial and demonic, kind of, or fiendish, where maybe the the origins of our protagonists are ones in which they've gone to these other worlds and come back and brought something back with them. Like, my character is not Fightor. My character to literally went to hell, had to fight their way to survive, comes back, and the reason why my character is a 7th level fighter is because I had to learn how to survive from a farmer to like now, and I just had to pick up a weapon and fight my ass off, and that's why I'm good at fighting. I didn't get trained. It was literally kill or be killed. You know what? Yeah, I agree with you there, Rickard. Rickard's like, it's a good movie. It's a bad Constantine movie. Yeah. Oh, I agree with you. Mike Gould says the role of Lucifer in the movie Constantine was brilliant. I can't do the okay, I'm gonna try it because I already brought it up. I love the way the actor does the little flick of the tongue. That I can't do it. I can't do the little. He flicks his tongue in the back of his throat, and I love like the white suit, but you can see like the blackish, almost inkish like thing on his feet and his hands. That was a really good. That's really good imagery. It was. I agree with you. The Lucifer um, portrayal was great because he was just like, "Ooh, I can't wait to take you down to hell." Mm-mm-mm. Oh man, you guys are so silly. You guys. Uh, Now Vampanoy says, "Is that movie Aramontary or Aramontari? Feel like I've seen it before. I don't know. I don't know. I suppose the Hellraiser movies kind of fit into that category as well. I don't know. Oh man, Mike Gould says DMs who want to role play devils need to watch that and the old series Brimstone. I remember that old series Brimstone. Yeah, yeah. Because there were. I love the idea that okay, you can't convince these devilish, fiendish creatures otherwise, but they are far willing to talk. And I don't mean to make it boring, like they just want to have discussions across kitchen tables all the time, but that they are reasonable in their fiendish outlook. You know what I mean? Like, for example, there are many ways to look at what we so-called call evil in our role-playing games. So some may be martyrs, like I don't want to do evil things, but I'm doing them because humanity must learn what it feels like. There's that concept. There's others who are just hedonistic, where they're like, I'm having fun, and I have no moral outlook. I'm gonna let loose and do whatever the hell I want to. There's other types of so-called evil where they're like, no, I'm doing a good. Not only am I doing a good thing, I am not even performing an evil act. Others might say, well, yeah, I am performing evil acts, but I'm doing it because modern society shouldn't have to. I'm doing it so you don't have to. It's the soldier martyrdom kind of thing. I'm going to go out and slaughter my enemies because the people I want to protect don't have to do those kind of things or shouldn't have to do those things. Um, I'm trying to follow where you guys are going because you're your own thing. Uh, Thomas Anderson's like, I remember his favorite meal was warm pop and Oreo cookies, and he was sleeping in a super low sub basement level of tunnels from under an amusement park he burned down to kill people. Peter Stormare was a great. And then Rickard's like, Peter Stormare, that's his name, was great as the devil. Still a bad Lucifer for the same reason the movie is a bad Constantine movie. And I agree with you. Maybe that I should have been more distinct. I think the movie's better than people give it credit for. I think it's blasted because it's not a very good Constantine movie. But Constantine character is a great character, which very much fits into this world, right? Like maybe the player characters are in a world where there's lots of fiends and celestials, but the player characters are just one semi-neutral element of a world in which they are considered they're given the honor of being neutral in a world where you have to pick a side. Like, maybe these factions go to the player characters and they're like, look, we're going to attack that city. We just want to make sure you're not going to be there, right? Like, we don't have beef with you, but we've got our own conflict with these other people here. Maybe even the angels, the celestials have their agents and whatnot. And they're like, as long as you sit on the sidelines, we're cool, but don't make enemies of us because we already have an agreement. We're not going to pull you to our side, but you need to stay out of this fight. And that might be it, there's nothing more so that will motivate a player character than to be told you don't matter, or to be told like um, you need to stay out of it and stay out of our way, than to get a player character to be like, "What did you tell me to do? What?" It's like giving a dare. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, absolutely. Mike Gould goes on to say, "Prophecy is another great movie to understand corruption and purity." Oh hell yeah! I love that first Prophecy movie. My what a what a great way to use low budget to get across your opinion. The perching up on the angels dressed in black perched up on the backs of the chairs and stuff. And oh man, what's the actor's name? Where he yeah, Vigo Mortensen, Mortensen, I can't remember his name, but you're right. As Lucifer, in that is also very believable. I love the hey, I was the what was it? That indentation on your lip, I was the one that hushed you to sleep in your mama's womb, telling you, shh. And he's like, does that with his finger. And I was like, oh. And the dead body, he puts out into the classic um the classic cruciform, and then he just goes like shh, and just points at the body, and it just lights on fire after he sprinkles it with holy water. I was like, what the hell? That is a great, I gotta admit, that's a great movie to pull subtle but very dramatic action from it. It's really good. That's maybe a better movie than the Constantine movie. um Oh, Dead Man brings up Dominion on Sci-Fi. Remember the city of Vega? It was Las Vegas, but the letters fell off of it, the sign, so it was the city of Vega. Yeah, Dominion. Yep. Um, don't remember much about it except that it was huge city walls, angels on the outside, um, picking sides and stuff like that. Yeah, Christopher Walken. Yeah, Michael's like Christopher Walken is absolute Gabriel Gold. Oh my god, he plays his little trumpet and blows the windows out with the little kids. He's so creepy too. Very pedophilic. That's is that a thing? It sounds like it's a compliment, but Christopher Walken's Gabriel as very actually the angels in that movie were rather pedophilic in their the way they associated themselves around children. It was just really yeah. Mike Gould says movies like Constantine and Prophecy should be used as inspiration for descent into avernus. Yeah. I definitely agree with you guys. So I didn't, not that I necessarily wanted to go down the demonic celestial pathway, but I think it really fits in. And I think we could even design, like, give some more character, literally and figuratively, to some of the celestial beings as well. Like, drawing from the movie Prophecy, the angels that came to Earth in the war could no longer hear the pure words and message of God. And the same might be said for the celestials in this world, where this setting that we're creating here in the World Building Wednesday, of course, where the angels here are left on their own. And so maybe one faction is like, no, we were given orders and we're going to fucking follow those orders, you son of a bitch. Like we were told to slaughter the demons and devils, and humanity doesn't matter unless we commit our war. And yeah, sure, we might kill some innocent people, hundreds of thousands, cutting them down like wheat, but we're still going to finish our mission because that was what we've been told. While others, like the movie Crimson Tide, like maybe they're like, well, we're only getting half a message, and since we can't hear the gods themselves, maybe we need to kind of think about this. And then the celestials are like, you're being corrupted by humanity with this so-called freedom of thought and choice. What is this freedom of thought and choice you speak of? you know um yeah, Michael says Walken showed what lawful evil should look like. Sure did. He really did. Very, like, he was an angel, and he was attempting to do the angelic thing. And um, Viggo Mortensen as Lucifer was very he was one of the good guys in that movie. He was helping the protagonist. Like, I don't want the son of Satan to come up. My only son is going to take over me. I don't think so. Mike Gould says when he punished the archangel, it was awesome. Thinking you're above God is vanity. That's mine. uh yeah, that thing you thought was under the bed was real. It was me all along. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And the creepy part about those lines in the movie are the movie assumes that they're saying those lines are true. You know, that indentation we have in the middle of our lip where Christopher Walken's like, I was in your mama's womb when I went to hush you to sleep. Shh, and does that thing with his finger, and you're like, oh, like, oh, did he touch me when I was a baby? Oh, it's like, yeah. Even their what was it? Their bones as adults were like that of a newborn. They had no genitalia, no belly buttons. Their bones were like hollow or something. It is just weird. It's like, oh my God, it's so cool. Uh, Michael says studying how Asmodeus, I did that on purpose, which I pronounce Asmodeus, fell is very much like Gabriel in prophecy. Were it not for me, you talking monkeys would be overrun by demons. And I I think it would be a balancing act since we're going down this pathway. We're almost done here, but since we're going down this pathway, I think it'd be a balancing act to ensure that the player characters are important for the story while at the same time there are the machinations of these powerful influences happening in the world, right? Like, I mean, knowing that like for example, the player characters, either these powerful celestial and fiendish beings, going to the player characters for their help or their advice or being motivated. Small minor acts by the player characters might be motivating some of the larger machinations of these bigger entities as well. And also we could also use the concept of the war movie. If you use the concept of the traditional war movie where it's not about the whole war, it's not about ending the conflict at all, much like post-apocalyptic stories. It's not about that. It's about the smaller story about our heroes. Whether that story is sending them, what is it, Saving Private Ryan, right? You watch that war movie, Saving Private Ryan. It's not about ending World War One or World War Two or anything like that. It's a World War Two movie, but I'm saying using those as backdrops, it's saving my friend from behind enemy lines, or navigating through a world where you see destruction around you, or hell, maybe the story is holding on to the fragments of what my soul used to be as I lose my sanity and I have to challenge my morals or ethics or something. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Deadman says Asmodeus is not Lucifer. Lucifer was the keeper of hell. Asmodeus was the first prisoner of hell. Yeah, we often forget that Lucifer is and fiends themselves are fallen angels. And I love, going back to the movie Prophecy, I love the fact that visually speaking, there really wasn't much difference between the angels and the risen and the fallen, right? The fallen angels and the risen demons or whatever have you. And I feel like sometimes we visually have made that distinction, but it would be pretty cool to like mix the two. Black-winged, shadowy celestials with very bright, beautiful, kind-looking demons, which I think many demons and devils, especially devils, would look very angelic in their demeanor, especially even if it's fictional or illusionary or through shape changing or something. I think they look very angelic to human beings. Much like the classic story of the do you want to go with the teenage story? Do you want to go with the Glee Club kid or the athlete who's got the square jaw and good grades and always does the right thing, or do you want the bad boy? Right? Both look angelic, but both handsome and shave chested and six packed with just a little bit of hair just right below the belly button and kind of thing, but also looking also very enticing to the classic young girls and maybe a bunch of young boys as well in those teenage stories and stuff, right? YA stories. So I think there might be some we could flip and play with that trope as well, you know what I mean? Where the heroes are like, oh, there's a flock of angels coming to help us, and come to realize that, yeah, they look like angels, but they're pretty much demons and devils or something. Yep. And like Deadman says, angels in the Bible were very alien and evil looking. Oh, there's I went down that rabbit hole too. If you do a search for what do angels really look like, it's very Lovecraftian. Very Lovecraftian. Very few angels only had two wings. Most had quite a number of sets of wings. They looked very bizarrely animalistic. Lions, bulls, goats, things like that. Very non-humanoid looking and stuff. So yeah, oh hell yeah. Mike Gould says, well, devils are in D&D. Demons are the spawn of the abyss, thanks to spoilers. Gwandor? I can't remember. I don't remember all the backgroundisms in Dungeons and Dragons for their origins. Thomas says, I seem to recall the demon's name in that book and movie was Cindiel. All the angels seem to have EL at the end of their names. Either AEL or EIL. Samuel and Asmediel and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that happens a lot. There was an old... Before I know I've got the music playing, but just before we get out of here, there's an old... Back at the heyday of collectible card games, there was a post-apocalyptic celestial and demon game that had that. I want to know if you guys could find that for me. It was probably early 90s, I want to say it came out. The cards were possibly a half-inch longer than your normal card stock, and it was a collectible card game, and they used a ton. I mean, there were like probably 200 different types of angels and 700 different types of demons, plus it had like cybernetics and hidden enclaves, cities and all that kind of stuff. So Vampanoy says EL suffix meaning of God. Yep. I figured it was that. I didn't know that actually, but I was like, it has to do something. It has to be related in that way, so that like Gabriel, Michael, that kind of thing. That L ending, much like Kal-El, if I'm not mistaken. Kal-El's name has religious significance to the Jewish community, if I'm not mistaken. That's why Superman's name originally was Kal-El. I'm pretty sure that's true. Sorry about that. Anyway, guys, we're going on too long here, but I really appreciate. There it is, Heresy Kingdom Come. Thank you, Deadman, who always pulls it out. Heresy Kingdom Come is an out-of-print collectible card game developed and published by Last Unicorn Games in September 1995. The game was based on religious-themed fantasy in a cyberpunk setting. I still have cards to that game. That's crazy that I still have that kind of stuff. Yeah, and the imagery was very splatterpunkish. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. I have to get out of here. Of course, you guys know the last 10-15 minutes of the show is where all the gold is. So maybe you should start telling people to tune in then. Anyway, have a great one. I will see thee tomorrow for Third Pillar Thursday. That's where we get to talk about the third pillar of exploration in our role-playing game. So thank you so much. And by the way, guys, have a great one. I will see thee later. Happy gaming. Thank you, Cam, and everybody else there and whatnot. I may not respond, but I read everything. So I really appreciate it. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Bye. Thank you very much for watching. Cue the music.